Did you know that more than 50% of the Chenin Blanc in the world is now planted in South Africa? And even though this cultivar undoubtedly hails from the Loire Valley on the western half of central France, there are clones that have been isolated in South Africa that do not exist anywhere else in the world. And really, this is all just context for today's Hand Drink Solo wine info video, which focuses on the Old Road Wine Company's Stone Trail Chenin Blanc 2019, made by winemaker Ryan Puttick. Ryan Puttick is the head winemaker and cellar master at the relatively young Old Road Wine Company, which is based in Franschhoek. Ryan started his career where many a great winemaker has done, at Elsenburg Agricultural College. From there, he took up his first post at Wildeberg Winery, which incidentally has just won the 2023 International Judges Trophy for Best Wine at the Investec Trophy Wine Show. After Wildersdorp, he moved on to Simon's Flay Wines, where he spent a short while before jumping at the opportunity to build something new, to pour his creative energies into developing the brand of the Old Road Wine Company. The Old Road Wine Company is kind of what happens when proper financial backing meets a vision for greatness. And while Old Road is owned by a big corporate, DGB, probably one of South Africa's largest wine and spirits distributors, their vision is anything but corporate. Their mandate seems to be purely about discovering incredible vineyards and then telling their stories in liquid form. This puts them in the same vein as pioneering producers like Jean Smit at Damascene, or perhaps even the KWV Mentors range or Wildeberg. What these producers all have in common is that they are ones that follow through on that sometimes tired old adage that great wines really do begin with your choice of vineyard. Now, probably the most lauded wine in the Old Road wine range is the Grand Mère Semillon, which has won multiple awards and is made using fruit that was sourced from the now famous La Colline vineyard, planted in 1936 in Franschhoek. But in 2023, it was their 12-mile Swartland Syrah which won the Best Shiraz Trophy at the Investec Trophy Wine Show. And perhaps this award becomes slightly less surprising when you discover that the 12-mile Syrah is made with fruit from a vineyard directly next to the world-famous Porceleinberg Syrah site. One might argue that it's hard to get a more distinctive site than that, but that hasn't stopped them from trying, because they've also secured the rights to the Franschhoek Valley's only certified old vine block of Chenin Blanc, which is a weird semi-trellis, semi-bush vine affair located up at a not inconsequential 350 meters above sea level. But the relevance of altitude and perhaps of a bizarre semi-trellis, semi-bush vine block of vines planted in the same year that E.T. phoned home and Michael Jackson beat it is really hard to assess unless you can taste the wine in the glass. When we give it a sniff, we get well, a slightly reticent nose at first, to be honest. And in my experience, this is in keeping with many older vine wines. According to WINEMAKER, they are often a lot shyer on the nose initially, and you have to give them time to open up. That said, there is still some interesting stuff going on. The nose is fairly serious in nature, with equal elements of savory and sweet. So on the savory side, you have this combination of salty sea spray, but also some raw almonds going on. And then on the sweeter side, you have a mix of floral honeysuckle and also some minerally talc elements. Then, if you have the patience, as the wine warms up in the glass, you do get these lovely elements of tart citrus and white nectarine. In fact, I served this wine relatively warm and got the most enjoyment out of it at about 14 degrees, which is only slightly cooler than you'd serve a red wine, as opposed to, say, a kind of savvy bee temperature of 6 or 7 degrees. And when we take a sip, you have gentle, slightly sweeter, restrained white peach and perhaps a bit of nectarine, but this is lent up against a rather bitter snap of Oxford-style white grapefruit marmalade. But outside of what we taste on the palate, it really interests me more in how these elements present themselves, because the texture is almost chewy. It's kind of a mixture somewhere between waxy and silky and supremely concentrated, which again are qualities that are often experienced with older vine wines, especially older vine white wine. I sometimes find the fruit elements to be a little reticent at first and restrained, but the texture and concentration is always dialed up. I mean, this is not always the case, but it certainly is happening on this particular wine. Okay, so that's all we have time for today, but if you have any questions on the Old Road Wine Company or on Old Vine Chenin Blanc or even on winemaker Ryan Puttick, then leave a comment on the website and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you enjoyed the video, then support us on Patreon and subscribe to the Handling Solo YouTube channel, where we publish 6 videos each month on things like wine science, wine history, unusual cultivars, and some of the dynamic winemaking stars that are coming out of the South African winelands.